Hello, everyone, and welcome back to It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. I'm Cyrus Webb, joined by my co host, Dalsimer. Welcome, you guys, tuning in on the simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X. Also, just tuning in over on Instagram. I'm going to go ahead and bring you guys in over there. And last but certainly not least, going to connect with our friends over on Amazon Live. I'm on the road once again. Today, I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. Glad that you all could be with Allie and myself as we go over what she and I were just talking about. Is going to be, I think, not only a powerful message for us to keep in mind, but also to share with others. And we're now live on Amazon Live with It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. If you guys are new to us on the Amazon platform, I want to say thank you guys so much for all of your support this week. It is so humbling the way you guys showed up for us, not only for Prime Day, but also all this week. If you're not following us, so hit that follow button in this corner or down below. You also will see Allie's book there in print, the Kindle edition and the audio book. Allie, how you doing?
Wonderfully. I'm just doing great, Cyrus. How are you doing?
Doing really good. Doing really good. I had a chance as I was prepping for today when I got settled in here, Allie. I was like, I can't believe we're on episode 6 already of this season.
I
It's
know,
like
crazy.
this, yeah,
Flying
the
by.
time is really passing by. Now, for our audience that called, Allie was a part of our Prime conversations we had this week. And you may remember I mentioned a certain chapter in the book. Allie said to me, when I had told her I was going to mention the chapter, so like, that's our chapter we're discussing this week. And then I was telling Allie today, I didn't realize that because I know we do my prep for this show on Thursdays. But Allie, this is going to be a great topic. But before I get into this, I do want to talk about something that we covered last week. I think it's a great setup for this. And that is what I think is so big about this book as one of the overarching messages. And again, for those who have not gotten their copy of It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day, do yourself a favor and get it for yourself and also get one for a friend. Because one of the big things, Allie, and I thought about this week, the theme of action.
Mm-hmm.
Action is such a big part of this book because it shows up when you're dealing with grief and how you move on. It shows up when you're going through different types of losses, both personally and professionally, but also just making decisions, big and small. Did you realize that when you were kind of compiling the book that action was such a driver of this?
I'm not sure I necessarily consciously thought of putting action as a driver in the book, but action is a driving force in my messaging and teaching to my kids. And the book was originally meant for my kids because
Yeah.
it's a driving force in my life. The truth is, if you want something done or you want something to happen, you need to do it.
Yeah.
No one's going to do something for you. You have to make things happen. And so I don't know. I guess it just worked out that way. But now that I think about it, it makes a lot of sense because it's an undercurrent. It's an undercurrent and a theme throughout. I think a satisfying, fulfilling life. And there are tons of examples that we could go into. But basically, when people do things for you, it's not as meaningful as when you do them for yourself. And they don't usually, the expression, if you want something done right, do it yourself, because then it's
Yeah.
the way you want it. But ultimately, if you want something done, do it, right?
Yeah. Well, and let me tell you what kind of brought this up that made me think about it, Allie, is last week's message. And we had it from the suffragette statue, the message there. And what you had written, though, really evoked that message for me. Okay, wait a minute. It's one thing to acknowledge something is not right. It's one thing to acknowledge that things need to change. It's a totally different thing to put yourself out there and to do something about it. Again, that's going to tie into this week's as well. But what about that connection for you, Allie, of it's not enough for us to say, you know what? I need to do better in this area, or I really would like to do this in my life or achieve this. What has it been like for you to realize that that thought is great, but the real work is going to come in the doing?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has an opinion, right? And there are many things in life that we like and many things that we don't like. And that's probably why our world is so divided right now. But the reality is that if you want something to change, you have to make a change in yourself. It's the Michael Jackson song, right? I'm looking at the man in the mirror.
Right.
I'm hoping that he'll make a change, because you have to make that change. And the change you have to make is deciding to act, to provoke some sort of response. And, if you're, we talked about the suffragettes, and if you're unhappy with not being able to vote in 1900, then get out there and march so that you can get the vote, because things can change.
Such a great reminder. On IG, hello to you, Daniela. Good to see you. Daniela, thank you so much for the continued support. Really appreciate that over there on IG. King, hello to you over there on IG as well. Appreciate the hearts over there for you guys on YouTube as well. So I think that's a great segue. Then, Allie, we'll go ahead and get into today's message.
Sure, absolutely. All right. Hatred paralyzes life. Love releases it. Hatred confuses life. Love harmonizes it. Hatred darkens life. Love illuminates it. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Humans inherently fear change, imagining myriad amorphous hardships and negative consequences, some of which are real and many of which exist only in our minds. It is the insidious nature of fear that stepping boldly into the unknown seems like a riskier proposition than maintaining our misery-laden status quo. It's not. Fear of change really means fear of the unknown. If we allow fear to dictate our lives and our paths, we harm not only ourselves, but often others as well. When fear is based on an all-consuming irrationality, we become angry. Anger causes us to lash out like scared animals. Eventually, when our fears have no basis in fact or reality, our anger deepens and morphs into hate. This hate is at the root of all the negative isms of our world. Love is the opposite. To achieve your potential, begin with love, not with the hate that results from anger spawned by fear. The first step is learning to love ourselves. Once we accept and embrace who we are, flaws included, we will be able to accept others, warts and all, as my mom used to say. Now is the time to self-reflect, to self-accept, to step into accepting others. Discovering your passion, leaning into risk, and opening your heart are crucial steps forward along the path leading to your own potential fulfilling future. It doesn't matter if your dream is working towards societal change or traveling the world or raising a large family. What matters is that the dream is right for you, regardless of what others may think. Understanding that you control your behaviors and attitudes frees you to conquer life's hurdles without wasting time and energy on fear-driven hate. When you do this, you can make a positive difference. People around the world routinely make a positive difference at both small and large scales. Tutoring a child, caring for the indigent, recycling, volunteering, even smiling at a stranger can transform a person's day, their week, even their life. More broadly, advancing a cause, recruiting volunteers, running for office, leading a movement, informing and changing perceptions. These can lead to behavioral, societal, and political shifts that can make this a better world. We don't control others, but we can influence change. The environmental movement, women's movement, civil rights movement, all were founded and are sustained by brave and committed believers taking action to influence community and society at local, regional, national, and global scales. Win or lose, if we do our level best, we can take pride in our efforts, allowing ourselves to feel empowered by each milestone achieved as we journey forward. That deep sense of empowerment will fuel the delight within and keep us motivated. All we need to triumph is to take the first step and the next, and so on. Living a joyful life, satisfied with who we are and what we're doing, means preempting a lifetime of shoulda, coulda, wouldas, if only.
So many layers to this message, Ellie, and I think, for myself, and there are a couple points that you make here that I think are really powerful. But I want to talk about, though, it's interesting. Hearing you read that out loud, how did you decide about the Dr. King quote for this one?
Because I really genuinely believe that if we love ourselves, we become able to love others, and you'll solve so many problems. I really think that most of our problems come from hate, and that hate is built on fear, and that fear is built on not knowing or understanding, right? So that's sort of the root of xenophobia, right? You're afraid of a foreigner because you don't know their culture, you've never visited the country, you don't know the language, you don't know their customs, and so you're afraid of it. And then somehow that fear morphs into hate, into some sort of negative feeling of some kind. And I really believe that's at the root of all of the problems. And I think Dr. King Jr. really did an amazing job in getting to the heart of that. And his message is a powerful one. And I think the way he balances the love and the hate and shows how love can counter the hate is, to me, really insightful. And I felt like it provided the overarching umbrella, or maybe the underlying basis for what I was trying to share in that passage.
Love that. The reason I thought about it is because I think this particular message, and even if, depending on where a person is, I think they could read this quote by Dr. King, Allie, and say, well, that doesn't apply to me. Not thinking about that fear in itself, is what does lead to hatred, right? And I love the self-reflection part that you mentioned here, where you say, now is the time to self-reflect, to self-accept, to step into accepting others. Talk to us about self-acceptance, because I think that's an interesting thing. We don't think a lot about that. We think about self-reflection, but talk to us about self-acceptance and why you think that's so important when it comes to thinking about where we need to make changes and to act.
Yeah, that's kind of the root of this book, right? It's okay not to be fabulous every day. And so many of us are putting on these fronts and we're trying to be all that all the time, which is just ridiculous. But a lot of that comes from a feeling of needing to prove ourselves, of needing to show that we're whatever we are, that we're fabulous. But anybody who's very confident in who they are and who really loves themselves and accepts who they are doesn't feel that pressure. Take me or leave me. This is who I am. And the pressure that we feel comes, I think, from not loving ourselves. And we can't love ourselves if we don't even like ourselves. And we won't like ourselves if we can't accept who we are. So for me, I believe that accepting ourselves, warts and all, like my mom says, embracing our perfect imperfections, understanding that what is not perfect about us is what makes us incredible, right? That's what makes us fabulous and unique. And once we really accept that we are just who we are, and that is enough, that we are worthy just as we are, and we accept ourselves, then we'll grow to like ourselves. And once we like ourselves, we'll be like, man, I'm actually really okay, right? I'm pretty cool. And then we love ourselves. And once we love ourselves, then we have a capacity to truly love others who are strangers. We can truly understand that they too are perfect in their imperfections and accept and love them as they are.
Love that. Love that. We're going to dive more into another part of this. I want to say, for those who are just tuning in, welcome. You all are watching It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day, based on the book written by Allie Dalsimer. She's an Amazon best-selling author, award-winning author. We're discussing this message. It's found on page 61 of her book. You have the print edition. Of course, for you guys joining us on the Amazon side, you all can also get the Kindle edition. I'm going to highlight it there for you guys. As well as, of course, the audiobook as well. We're going to also let you guys know how to stay connected with Allie and sign up for her newsletter and find out about her brand new podcast, which she just announced the first guest of as well. We'll be letting you know about that as well. Allie, I also like the idea of perspective in this chapter, because this is something that I've personally have benefited from. And that is, a lot of times we look at these people doing these big things, right? And we think, oh, I could never do that. I could never make a difference. I think it was Greta Thunberg you mentioned when we were together earlier this week. And people look at individuals like her and think, oh, wow, that's so big. But you say this in the book on page 63, people around the world routinely make a positive difference at both small and large scales. Tutoring a child, caring for the indigent, recycling, volunteering, even smiling at a stranger can transform a person's day, their week, even their life. I totally can agree that that is so true. That words spoken at the right time can be life changing. I have words that have been spoken over me over the years that definitely have transformed my life. How important has that been for you, Allie, to not minimize the greatness you're able to do, no matter how small it may seem?
Yeah. That's been a very powerful part of my journey, is really learning and embracing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd actually like to talk a little bit about what you said at the beginning, because I think a lot of people feel that way. They feel like, oh, they look at someone like Greta Thunberg, who is out there making, these global efforts with all this huge support behind her. I could never do something like that. And what they may not remember is, I mean, I tuned into Greta Thunberg years ago, because I spent 30 years working in the environmental sphere. So climate change was a big part of that. And, she started as, I think she was 12, with a sign, standing, freezing rain, standing with a sign. Her dad was off on the side because her dad took her wherever she needed to go. She had parents who believed in her, which was huge. Just, basically saying, world, wake up. We have a climate disaster that is impending. That was it. I mean, she was just a lone girl standing on a sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, 10 years or whatever it's been, and this is where she's at. Go back 20 years to where you were. Cyrus, you make a very positive and impactful difference in people's lives every day with your positive messaging. Every day you do. 20 years ago, you were just starting out. Someone said, hey, you should be on the radio, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, now you have, what is it, 50,000? You're approaching 50,000 followers, and you're on multiple platforms, and people reach out to you, and you have daily, you have your daily messaging that you read that, I listen to, and I know a lot of people listen to and take and just take comfort from that, or take just positive energy from it, motivation from it, inspiration. That's the word I was looking for, inspiration from it. And so I really think that the big part of that section, that message about making a difference, is that every positive act you do can be impactful, and it can grow if you want it to grow. If you continue and you spread that word and you make the effort, it can grow.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And I think, too, that allows us to see that all of us can make a difference. It's one thing to say that. I think a message like this reinforces that, Allie, because it shows that it like it mentions tutoring, recycling. Well, these are all things that we can all do, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't take big budgets. They don't take all of this stuff, like you mentioned with Greta, just starting. I think and again, it goes to what we were saying earlier in the conversation about all of these are about acting, choosing to act, either seeing something you want to do or change and acting, or realizing what's in your power to do and then actually doing it. What is your hope from this message, Alan, that people take away when they think not only about the quote from King, but also just thinking about themselves and what's in their power to do?
I think the biggest and most important message, and the lesson that I hope people really take to heart, is that starting is half the battle. If you can start, you've already accomplished half of the job. Literally, it's half the job just getting started. I want to get in shape. Great. Go to the gym. Oh, I don't know, right? Going to the gym, making that first step, taking that action. I don't like my current representative and I want a different representative. Okay, well, I think I could do a better job. Okay, fill out the paperwork. Put out, your message. So taking that first step really is half the battle. And the reason it's so hard and the reason it's such a huge accomplishment is because we fear the unknown. If we haven't done something before, even if it's a small thing,
Right.
Even if it's a small thing, we haven't done it before, it's natural for us to fear it. And that's a hardwired, Stone Age thing. And we have to lean into that and make ourselves do it. Because really, what is the worst that can happen? Right? I've talked about this. The worst that can happen isn't that you fail. If you tried it and it doesn't work out, that's okay. You learned something.
Right.
The worst that can happen is you never try. And then you never know. And then you're just where you are 10 years down the road, unhappy and still wanting a change and not doing anything about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, such a great thing. Such a great message, Allie, that I hope people will take to heart, will think about, and then, as I mentioned, share with others, because I think it's something that we all need. Again, everyone, It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day is the book. You all can get it here in print. You can get the Kindle edition or the audiobook. Allie Dalsimer is the author, my co-host. Allie, let them know how to be able to stay connected with you, how to sign up for the newsletter, and tell them about the big announcement you just made about the first guest for your new podcast.
Yes, so exciting, so exciting. Well, first, definitely get the book. It's also available in Spanish, in audio, Kindle, and print format as well. And you can stay in touch by following me on Instagram. You can go to my website, alliedalsimer.com/newsletter to sign up for my newsletter. Comes out twice a week, filled with tools and resources and helpful links. October is Mental Health Awareness Month, so that's the focus of the next newsletter, which comes out not this Saturday, but next Saturday. And yes, my son and I have started a podcast called So, What's Your Process?, where we talk with creatives from all kinds of fields about what they do and how they go about doing it. And our first guest is Sam Henderson, who is the writer and director of a short indie film called Ado, which is amazing. Look it up. It's incredible. Our next guest is going to be Cyrus Webb, media mogul. And both of these shows are excellent. Please follow us on Instagram at So What's Your Process? And you will be the first to get links for it, because they're both amazing shows, both very different. And not a lot of people talk about the process that people go through to become creatives and achieve their personal dreams. So I think people will get a lot out of it and find it very inspirational.
Love that, Allie. Congratulations again to Kyle and you on the new podcast. Looking forward to watching it, and thank you again for having me as a guest. We thank all of you for being with us for another episode of It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. I will be back in Mississippi next week, and for the rest of the month, actually, for the rest of the month of October for our show. But Allie, great show today. Looking forward to next week.
Me as well. Thank you so much, Cyrus, and thanks to everybody for tuning in.
Definitely. We definitely thank you all for watching. It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. Until next time, you'll make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.